Hello and welcome. I am very much a seasonal reader, and certain times of the year I gravitate towards certain types of genres. So today, what I wanted to do is share with you my favorite Christmas mysteries. This is probably mostly Christmas murder mysteries. What better way to celebrate Christmas than to read a murder mystery? I know that reviews can sometimes not really matter at all, but the books that I am sharing in today's videos have over a 3.75 star rating on Goodreads, all the way up to above 4. I also have a mix of standalones and books that are in series, as well as some that are on Kindle Unlimited, as well as others that can be found in a used capacity rather than just buying them new. So the first one that I have to share with you is The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Allie Carter. Allie Carter wrote A Castle for Christmas, which is on Netflix. It has Brooke Shields and Carrie Elwes in it, who was in Princess Bride. And so if you are interested in a Christmas romance set in a Scottish castle that has Wesley in it from The Princess Bride, then check that out. As far as books, Allie Carter has done such a phenomenal job with this locked mansion set in a winter storm, rivals to lovers, mystery, and romance in The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. So in this, we have Eleanor Ashley. She is a very famous, well-known author who is known to like puzzles. And she sends out invitations and invites this seemingly unconnected group of people to celebrate Christmas with her in her English countryside manor. Two of the people that Eleanor Ashley invites are Maggie and Ethan. They are rivals. They are also writers. The premise on which Eleanor invites them is so compelling that they really can't refuse. And so they end up kind of mixed in with this ragtag group of people that are in this English manor. The setting is fantastic. It's described so well, I think. And once we wake up the next morning after the arrival of Maggie and Ethan and the other people, it turns out that Eleanor is missing. She's supposed to be in a room that is locked from the inside. There's no sign of how she would have gotten out, but she is not in that room. And so we begin this ride with Maggie. And you kind of think, is this a puzzle mystery more than a murder mystery? But increasingly, as time goes on, Eleanor is like not coming back, and there are people that are getting poisoned and a lot of serious peril in this, and a winter storm descends. And so we're locked in this estate as Maggie is trying to uncover what is going on. And it seems like that Ethan is on her side on, okay, let's kind of connect up and try to figure out what is going on. And I think a lot of people really loved it. And in my mind, it really does stand up to the hype as far as a Christmas mystery is concerned. So the next book that I have to recommend is The Mystery at Mistletoe Hall. This is by Benedict Brown. This is an indie publisher or self-published mystery series. And in the beginning, Benedict Brown mentions that his goal in writing this is that even though it is interspersed in his Lord Edgington Investigates series, I think it's the fourth one, he wrote this to be a standalone. So it doesn't spoil any of the other books in the series, and it's meant to just be able to be picked up and read without you kind of having a background history on Lord Edgington, who is one of the main characters in here. One of the things I loved is the cover, obviously, and it really is an isolated, locked mansion mystery in the middle of a huge snowstorm where no one is supposed to be able to get in and get out. And I did mention Lord Edgington. He's sort of, the one who's leading the charge, but he has a grandson named Chrissy who also helps him. There are a lot of characters in this, and one of the things that I love about what Benedict Brown has done in his self-publishing this book, is he included a character list, because then you could just kind of go to the back and see how this person is connected. Mostly because in order for this locked room mansion story to work, you have to have a lot of different characters that somehow seem to have one connection that we're not sure what that is. And then we're following all of these red herrings of, is this actually the person? Is it because of this? And kind of trying to figure it out. And having more characters helps you to, make the story that much more fulfilling and that much more difficult to figure out. So once Lord Edgington and his grandson Chrissy arrive, they discover that the host, the person who invited everybody, is not there. The house is empty. And everyone that's there can't really figure out why. And then, of course, the snowstorm comes and they are stuck there. So with the connection to And Then There Were None, there's a poem that's sort of following everyone as we're going through this mystery. So we're kind of connected with that. There are, it does seem like there are more bodies that are piling up. And so it seems like people are being picked off one by one. We've got a bit of humor in this, and the mystery is very intriguing. And for some reason, if you've read the Lady Hardcastle series by T.E. Kingsley, for some reason, this book reminded me of her kind of tone and personality. So if you liked that, I think that you would like this as well. Another English manor snowstorm locked in murder mystery that I really enjoyed is Murder at Melrose Court. And this is by Karen Baugh Menuhin. Murder at Melrose Court is the first book in the Heathcliff Lennox series that she wrote. So I do love that the first book is Christmas. I can recommend it to you and say, listen, this is the first book in the series. Jump right in right now. And then you can continue on the series if you enjoy it as the year progresses. So it's nice to have one that's the first in a series that is Christmas. And I loved this so much. I found it on Kindle Unlimited, and I found the characters so fun and entertaining. So we have Heathcliff Lennox. He gets up and his butler is like, hey, by the way, there's a dead body on your front doorstep. And he's like, what? Doesn't really know like what he's talking about. Goes out. There's a very large man who has died on his front doorstep. So the police come. He kind of went through the pockets and found some things that like notes that were on this man, on this body, that he's connecting is maybe why this person was on their doorstep, even though he didn't know the actual man, the person who had passed away. He does not divulge everything to the police, and the police leave. And he decides, because it's Christmas, he's going to go to his uncle's house and spend time with his family. When he gets to his uncle's house, he discovers that his uncle is courting a Russian royalty who has left Russia during the Russian Revolution with the Bolsheviks. And so things have changed. He meets his cousin. His cousin is also courting someone. There are some legal like barristers and accountants connected to his uncle and his uncle's estate who are kind of hangers-on who are also there for the weekend. We also have the staff. So there's a little bit of that Downton Abbey of like upstairs, downstairs characters. And we start to have bodies piling up in this manor, and there's a huge snowstorm, and so they are stuck. And I loved it so much. I definitely want to continue. I loved Lennox. He's the person who becomes the investigator. He's actually the one who seems to be under the most scrutiny from the police of being the person who's committing these murders. The characters that we meet are very interesting, and you're definitely kind of continuing to see how everybody is connected. And there is a dog in this that is just a marvelous character as well. So really a fantastic murder mystery set in a storm in an English estate. If you're looking for that kind of vibe, pick up Murder at Melrose Court. The next few are within a series. So I'm going to try to be sure to tell you kind of where they fit in the series and what my recommendations are as far as reading the whole series versus just picking one up. So of the ones that I read that were all part of a series, Carlene O'Connor's Murder at an Irish Christmas was by far my favorite. This is part of an Irish Village mystery series. This is the 6th book in the series. And somehow I came across it in my used book searching and thought, well, it is the 6th in the book in the series. I probably won't read the whole series, and it is Christmas, so I'll just go ahead and pick it up. So we have Siobhan O'Sullivan. She is the oldest in a family of 6 siblings. So one of the things you realize very quickly, and I think this is something that happens very early on in the first book in the series, and that is that Siobhan becomes responsible for her siblings because they are all orphaned. So there's a whole family there that I think that if you read the first 5 books of the series, you get to know the family members. But in this, while they're there and kind of part of the plot because they travel with her to this village, you're really not super connected with them. But there's a family that Siobhan and her siblings know, and they end up having the patriarch, the grandfather in the family, ends up dying right at the beginning of the book and right before Christmas. And Siobhan has developed a career based on solving mysteries, which again is something that gets developed through the first 5 books. And so she's very much caught up in trying to help them solve this, what becomes very clear right off the bat was a murder. I thought that the character development was really great. I thought that the red herrings that were set up as traps throughout this was really great. I thought the detecting work was good. I thought it had some very intense moments where, you're concerned about the safety of our characters. Are they being chased and are they safe? And then the denouement of solving the mystery and kind of seeing who it was that actually did it. So I probably loved the Irish setting the most, and like the description of the village and the village life.
Siobhan O'Sullivan and her brood were here, in a rocky pasture in front of an old stone whisky mill, in a colourful village in West Cork. Dubbed the Wild West of Ireland, and running from Kinsale to the Beara Peninsula, West Cork was known for its rugged coastline, unique peninsulas, and mountains, with villages spread out along the wild Atlantic Way.
But I thought the whole thing was just so very entertaining and such a great choice for picking up in the Christmas season, sitting in front of the fire and reading this in the evenings. While I do think that this really is not a standalone, I am completely happy that I read this. It intrigued me enough that I may want to go back and read the first 5 and may actually want to just continue the series from here. So fantastic writing by Carlene O'Connor, and one that I would highly recommend. So the next ones that I have in a series, this is completely a Christmas murder mystery series. So every book in the series is a murder mystery set at Christmas, which I think is such a fun idea. And the author's name is Jaqueline Frost. The first book in the series is 12 Sleighs of Christmas. This is actually, from my minimal research, very difficult to find a used copy of. My library had it, so I was able to get it. Hopefully you can find it in your library or maybe find an audio version of it. But 12 Sleighs of Christmas is the first one. And in this we have Holly White. She has returned from the city back to her family's business of a Christmas tree farm, but they also have an entertainment place for Christmas activities, reindeer games. So they have food that they offer, they have little events that they offer in addition to the Christmas tree farm, and that's what her family owns. And Holly comes back because her engagement has ended. Her fiance turned out to be a putz, and she was just done. And so she came home and was going to work at her family's reindeer games Christmas farm for the Christmas season and really kind of figure out what her next steps are. Upon arriving, it's really cute. She stays in like a cottage that's not her parents' house, but like a little ways on the side of the property. It just sounds really lovely. But right at the beginning, someone comes in and they are somebody who works for the Historical Association, and they're trying to get everyone who has property and houses to follow the bylaws of the town, of making sure that your property follows the architectural historical laws. And there are people that are obviously annoyed with this woman, and her dad even quarrels with her about her, giving him a citation. And that evening she turns up dead. And so now Holly's really involved because her dad is one of the suspects. And so she's like gets involved, and you have an attractive sheriff who's just recently moved from Boston, who's now the small town sheriff, and he happens to be very big, burly, and attractive, and that really kind of helps the story along as well. But it's very wholesome in that regard. It is very intense. There are some definite moments where like your heart's racing. You're like, oh my gosh, is she going to be all right? Is it, what's happening here? So I thought the mystery was really great. The setting, being set in like a Christmas loving town, was really fantastic. So if you can find 12 Slaves of Christmas, then I would highly recommend it. I was able to find the next two books in the series, which is 'Twas the Knife Before Christmas. That's so cute. And Slashing Through the Snow. I was able to find these used pretty easily and not very expensive. So I am going to continue the series this Christmas season because I enjoyed it that much, and am interested to see how this continues with Holly and her love interest and the Christmas tree farm. So I just think it's so cute, and what a great idea to have the series just be set completely at Christmas. I have mentioned this series before, and that is the Cambridge Bookshop series by Elizabeth Penny. So I have mentioned, I think, Chapter and Curse. This is the first book. In this, we follow Molly and her mother. They live in Vermont. Some things happen, and it ends up that the two of them move to England to live with Molly's aunt. And her aunt runs a bookshop. Because Molly's a librarian, she ends up helping her aunt with the bookshop part. And then there are these murder mysteries that she ends up getting involved in. There is a love interest in here as well. He's like royalty adjacent, basically. He's just keeping a low-key life, running a shop in the town as well. And so just a really slow build romance as well. But what this is more about is the murder mystery. So the first three books in this series are set at various times. So it's like you can see this looks more like summer, spring. This one I think looks more like fall. And then the fourth book in the series is Madrigals and Mayhem. And this one is set at Christmas. So if you're not one who really is like into reading big long series and getting really caught up in just like a cozy mystery series, I think you could very easily just pick this one up, because this is your, what I would say, quintessential cozy murder mystery kind of a series. It's, while you do have murder, it is kind of, light on the intensity and, the complexity, all of that. It's just really kind of a light, fun read. Very typical of cozy murder mysteries. And so in Madrigals and Mayhem, we're still set in Cambridge around the bookshop. And this is another shop owner who owns a toy shop, Charlotte. She's got a very shady family, and this shady family is like trying to undermine her and steal things from her that she has in the shop that are valuable. And it's just kind of a mess. And so Molly gets involved with helping Charlotte as people are getting poisoned and people breaking in. And there is a character who's putting on a play. And so Molly gets involved with that with her beau. They're, acting to kind of try to be undercover and figure out what's really going on. So just your, cozy mystery set at Christmas is what you will get in Madrigals and Mayhem. Apple Cider Slaying by Julie Ann Lindsey is the first in the cider shop mystery. So while this does start in late fall, and it has like the apple cider shop, it's all about preparing for Christmas, and then it culminates at the Christmas season. So in this, we have Winnie, who helps her granny in West Virginia run an apple farm. I mean, as expected, their rival, the woman who owns the farm, I think that butts up next to them, ends up dead. And her grandmother is the one who is considered to be the suspect. And so Winnie is fully invested in not only helping to clear her granny's name, but there is, of course, like financial concerns with running the farm. And so you're having to maneuver, let's make sure the farm doesn't, go out of business, while also trying to keep Granny out of jail. So it is nice that it's the first book in the series. They're not all set at Christmas, but this first one is. And it is, again, your cozy kind of Christmas murder mystery. It's like, a Hallmark movie set at Christmas, but with murder in it. So just a fun book. You should be able to find this pretty easily. And again, I think it's a great cozy read that wouldn't take you very long. That's not super complex and is just fully entertaining. So I have 2 middle grade books to share about. The first one is the Aggie Morton series by Marthe Jocelyn. This is basically Agatha Christie in her childhood, and she has a friend as well that is based off of Hercule Poirot. And there is a book before this that is in the series that is not set at Christmas. The second book, which is Peril at Owl Park, is set at Christmas. So you have really, again, this idea of an English manor that is remote and isolated. There is a winter storm. You have a traveling troupe of actors, and Agatha, who's Aggie, and her friend Hector, who are staying at Aggie's family's estate that's out in the country, having to solve a murder mystery. My personal opinion is that you can pick this up as a standalone and just read it at this Christmas season. The only thing I think that would be happening in the first book is their friendship developing, but they move to a completely different place for this one. And, the mystery in and of itself is all wrapped up in this one. So my opinion is you don't have to read it in order, and that you can start with the Christmas one. And I think Aggie Morton is a fantastic to dip if you want to do murder mysteries, but you don't want, a lot of like gore and scary parts. A middle grade is the perfect option for that. I have mentioned The Greenglass House by Kate Milford recently, but I did want to mention this again as a really fantastic Christmas mystery series book. It is set in a cold New England location. You've got like a smuggler's inn. You've got all kinds of characters that really seem to have things to hide. And we have Milo, who is, as I mentioned in my other video, always sitting around by the fire drinking hot chocolate trying to figure out a mystery. So if you are looking for something that is not feeling like a murder mystery, but is a Christmas mystery, something for you to kind of puzzle and figure out what's going on, Greenglass House is definitely something worth considering. A standalone that I have on my Kindle is Murder at Mistlewaite Manor by A.J. Skelly. I read this for Jane Austen July because it is set in Regency, England, and mentioned at that time that I thought this would be a great option for a Christmas murder mystery because it is actually set at Christmas. I will say this one has a little bit more adult content than the others that I have mentioned. It's not like open door romance or super risque, but there is some plot lines that, is a little bit more adult. And the murders in here are a little bit more descriptive. So it's, I wouldn't say gory, but it's definitely more descriptive than the other books that I have recommended so far. But if you like this idea of a locked mansion murder mystery with a lot of very bright, vivacious characters, then I think this is a good option. You also have a romance thread through there where you have a woman who was kind of jilted, and she has been invited to figure out this weekend puzzle, and the man who jilted her was also invited. So she's there with the man that she's trying to now elicit a proposal from in order to help save her family, as well as being locked in the mansion and stuck there with also the man that she had loved who left her. It was like a big scandal. So you also have that whole thread going through this as well. Murder at the Christmas Emporium by Andreina Cordani is the most thriller-like book that I have to recommend. It also has more violence in it and description in it. And more adult content as well. No like open door romance, but there is quite a bit more swearing in this one. Most of my recommendations don't have any swearing in them, but this one does. It's very, it has like this like modern sensibilities tone to it. But I do think that if you're interested in a Christmas murder mystery and you're not a big fan of thrillers, but you would like to just kind of have a toe dip into seeing kind of what that feels like, I think that this is a good option because I'm not a big thriller fan. I don't read a lot of thrillers, but this one very much has that tone. So we have the Verity Emporium. It starts off with some history that you're a little bit like, wait, what? And then it jumps right into present day with Mary. Mary, while this does have multiple POVs in it, Mary seems like she is our main character. And she has basically stolen a magic ticket to get into the Verity Emporium on Christmas Eve. There's a few tickets that have been made available, and she decides that she's going to sneak in. She gives the wrong name to kind of get herself in, but you can tell right away that there is a lot wrong with this situation. Not only with the different characters that are in the room with Mary, but you also can tell that there's just unsavory things that are going on. And lo and behold, they wake up the next morning after having this sort of fever dream crazy night and discover that they have been locked into this emporium with no way out. It turns out that it has that, and then there were none kind of feel to it with, each one seems to be being picked out and killed, and you are over, 2/3 of the way through before things start connecting. You do kind of go back and forth in time with each of the characters to kind of see their history and what has brought them to being specifically invited to the Emporium. And it's creepy. I mean, there are secret tunnels, there are bodies that are being found, there is some harshness of life. We have characters that are not the most likable. There's a reason why they've been invited into this locked room situation, and it's so bingeable. You just want to keep going to kind of figure out what's going on. I read this fully in like 2 days, where I was just like, wait, what's going on? How is this connected? What's happening? And just wanted to kind of figure it out. So it's a read where you just want to keep picking it up until you get to the end. And even at the end, when you read the last couple lines, you're like, what? I mentioned The Secret Christmas Library by Jenny Colgan in my haul from my book shopping experience in central New York. I am here to say that this is also one that I would recommend. We don't really have a murder mystery, but it is very much a puzzle and uncovering of clues, and you have a Scottish manor, crumbling Scottish manor in the Highlands in the middle of like this record-breaking snowstorm. And so they're stuck. It opens up with an invitation to our main character, Mirren Sutherland, to go and spend time with Jamie, who owns this Scottish estate, to help him find a rare book that he thinks his grandfather has purchased that maybe could help save the estate. He's really trying to find a boon to be able to help bring back his estate to like not be crumbling down and having holes in this roof and everything. And he's hoping that this rare book would bring in that level of income. And so he's asked Mirren, who has proven herself in the past, to come and help him find this book. And it turns out he's also asked her pseudo rival Theo, who's also a rare artifacts expert, to join her in the hunt. So it's the three of them. And she gets her train ticket. I don't know if this is true, but apparently when you inherit this estate, you also get access because if you allow a train company to build track through your land, they give you access to a train car that just operates by itself, and it's like luxurious. It's like has this really nice bedroom, and you have a butler service and food, and you're just traveling on this train up through Scotland. And I'm like, oh, I mean, the description she has of like what it looks like, it's close to Christmas, like it just seems magical. That hooked me. I was like, what? This is amazing. But then once you get there, you get really caught up in the mystery and wanting to kind of try to uncover the clues and figure out, along with Theo and Jamie and Mirren, what exactly this rare book could be and where it could be. It is also more adult than most of the other books that I have recommended, where you do have swearing. And if you've read any of Jenny Colgan's books, it's her style. So it's not anything that's like out of what she normally does, but still is great. And again, that Scottish Highland setting in the middle of a snowstorm, sign me up. All right, so there are the 12 Christmas murder mystery / Christmas mystery book recommendations that I have for you. Let me know if you have read any Christmas murder mysteries or even just Christmas mysteries that you have loved that I have not included here. I would love to learn about more. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.